cents.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 11th Planning Board meeting for the town of Dudley. At this time, I would like to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded and ask everyone to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right.
Perfect, okay. You want me to move it? Do you really want me to move?
No, he's fine.
They know each other.
All right, first item on
I
the,
know.
first item on the agenda, on the new business, we're going to do the approval of the minutes for the May 14th, 2025. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the minutes for the May 14, 2025 meeting as presented.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I can feel myself, I wasn't here.
Okay. So Mr. Clark made the motion, Mr. Durgan seconded, and.
What about
Mr.
Guy?
Edmiston?
Yeah,
Guy?
I think when
we gotta
while
do a
he's
roll call,
online, you
too.
should do a roll call, just so
Yeah.
that
Okay.
he can answer
Okay.
every time.
All right, so, my apologies, right, we don't do a lot of members coming in remotely. We have a member who is traveling on business, and he's joining us remotely, so we're gonna do a roll call.
Richard Clark, aye.
Steve,
Dave,
go ahead.
Dave Dargan, aye.
Dan Edmiston, I wasn't here, so no vote.
Abstain.
Abstain, yeah.
Steve Wautroba, aye.
Guy.
Guy Thorne, aye. There we go. All right, now that we get that out of the way. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the Sophie's Way minor amendment. We're going to take some things out of order because Mr. Horn is joining us remotely, and we want to make sure we can get him in on the public hearing for the cell phone application. So at this point, without objection, I'd like to jump down to standard business. Hearing no objection, discussion status report on finishing construction of and acceptance of uncompleted, unaccepted subdivision streets, including Pierpont Estates, Country View Estates, known as Eisenhower Drive, Lyons Estates, and Sophie's Way. Do we have anything for that? We have any?
We do.
We
no,
do not.
we do
Well, obviously,
Except for Sophie's Way,
right,
which is going
gonna
up.
be covered, right. All right, and now, inspections and actions associated with site plans. Legacy Landing / Country Club Acres, SEP Solar Oxford Ave, Stevens Mill, the solar project at the landfill, and the Dudley Housing Authority. Do we have anything we want to update on that, or?
I believe, I'm losing track of time, the Dudley Housing Authority wrote, didn't he write us a letter?
Yeah, we've been going back and
We
forth.
did, we've been corresponding with the director, Jeremiah Blankenbaker.
I forget his name, but yeah.
Forgive me, I can't remember his name, but I have not heard.
We just want to make sure he's ready for the final inspection.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, one note regarding Legacy Landing / Country Club Acres.
Yep.
You may recall, we had some of the residents present or ask a question with regards to some of the lighting, the street lighting in particular, there's 3 street lamps there.
Okay,
Those have been modified, they are now solar.
okay.
I don't know what necessarily requirements there are as far as code is concerned, but the issue in the past was that the lights, according to the residents, had not been installed properly. Now that they are solar, I think that changes the game, at least to some extent. And
See him on at night?
no, I haven't seen them on it. They look otherworldly.
I think when it rains every day, you
Yeah.
can't really charge them. so-
Well, the others had a certain aesthetic appeal, if you will. These look like something out of, I don't know, back lot of the dollar store or someplace. But in any event, they are in place there. They've modified that to some extent, so better or worse, I guess the residents will keep us informed.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I did put something in the binders of that email from Jim Haynes regarding Country Club Acres, just a little update.
Okay.
Just to let people know that.
So which,
Probably under what, standard business?
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay, so we have a letter from Jim Haynes, the developer for Country Club Acres LLC, dated May 15th, 2025. Does anybody want me to read this into the record, or do you want to just review it right now?
I'm good.
I'm just looking for, which tab was it?
Blue tab. Standard
Standard
business.
Two sentences?
Well, heck, we got a little time to kill, so I'll just read
Okay,
it.
so that he does address
Yeah.
the, does mention the power of the streetlights.
Oh, so they're not on?
I don't know. They've
They-
changed.
They've never lit up? How long, when was this?
I
Like,
just noticed them this morning. I was talking to a resident.
So it
and,
could have been yesterday?
That they're fairly recent. We did have some, I believe it was rain yesterday, so I don't know
Okay.
whether they charged or what the process is before they're fully functional.
Gotcha. All right. So
They are different, so that's where it's taken from.
Well, we got about 7 minutes. Planner's plate, you have anything?
Except for the fact that this is my last day
No,
with-
say it
day-
ain't so.
day with you all. It's been a pleasure getting to know all of you and the issues of the town. And the commute was the only part that was not a pleasure. But thank you for your time, and
Well,
I wish you well.
Well, thank you.
thank you. It was nice having you here.
Thank you. You can do the A&R too. You can open the public hearing for the A&R. I don't imagine that's gonna take too much time. Oh, you can't, it's not 7:15 yet, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
See, now you're confusing me.
That's all I have.
Let's see, I'm gonna skip comments from the planning board and comments from the audience, because we typically do that near the end of the evening. We're gonna go right over to other business. We're gonna approve and set the next meeting date, June 25th or July 9th. So, does anybody have any preference? Is there any vacations or anything we need to?
I won't be here on June 25th.
The June 25th date is the one that's set aside for A&Rs. That's
Oh.
it, every other.
Oh, okay, all right, so we actually, yeah, so chances are we're not gonna have that anyways, nothing's come in as of yet, so. So we're looking at setting the next meeting date for July 9th. Is everybody pretty much good with that? I haven't checked my calendar actually, but I'm sure we've got enough people.
Well, we need, hopefully we're gonna continue the public hearing from tonight to that date, so we need the same people to come. We're gonna need,
We'll have a new board by then.
right,
Right.
but if
Yeah, I
all
know.
goes well, that's why it was important for you to come today.
Yep.
So, but the same people have to come. There isn't a way that I could find for members to miss a board meeting, which is why, thank you, Mr. Horn, is online, so that you'll have 5 people to be able to vote consistently on the project.
Okay,
I'm good for June 9th.
That should be okay.
Tom?
I don't have a problem with that.
all right, we'll go with July 9th. Approval of consultant vouchers / payment of bills. I guess we've got one for Stonebridge Press for the cell phone, posting of the cell phone public hearing for $308.70. Does somebody want to make a motion to approve that, payment of that voucher?
Chairman, I move that we approve the voucher to Stonebridge Press for the amount of $308.70.
Okay.
Second.
All right, Mr. Clark made the motion, Ms. Durgan seconded. We're going to do a roll call vote on this one also.
Richard Clark, aye.
Dave Durgan, aye.
Dan Edmiston, aye.
Steve Watroba, aye.
Guy Ford, aye.
All right, unanimous.
I think you're supposed to go last, Steve, Chairman.
I don't think it really matters.
All right. Other town notices? Probably nothing.
I haven't gotten anything.
Okay. Other correspondence? Nothing. All right. So at this time, I'm going to take a brief pause for 2 minutes, so we can officially open the public hearing at 7:15.
Could we
Just so, I was going to explain,
set up the alternative for the After?
Well, I was gonna explain to the public what's happening.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like after June, after the election, we're gonna need another alternative, because this alternative is gonna be a member?
Yeah, I
Exactly.
don't, well, if you wanna do that after this,
Okay.
all right. Although, should that be an agenda item?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Why don't we do it as or why don't you do it as an agenda item at the next meeting?
That's
The
fine.
alternate is only necessary or allowed to vote for special permits, is my understanding. And since the only one we have right now in front of us is available, so I think if you wait till July 9th, I don't think there isn't gonna be anything that's gonna come in between now and July 9th that would require you to have an additional
Yeah,
person.
I'm just saying, put it on the
Yes.
agenda for July. for the
That
next meeting.
makes sense in order to make
Somebody
sure
gets
that
on a
we
little bit.
don't run into this.
Right, but we're not gonna deal with it this meeting, is what my point was.
Right, that's
Okay?
fine.
So,
I think
all
you
right.
also do you not have to advertise or somehow let people know that you're looking?
That's a good point.
How do
I don't
you
think-
decide, I mean, how did,
I don't know that we have in the past.
people have just said, I'm interested in if there's an
Usually just have
availability?
straws and the short one ends up being an alternate.
Or perhaps, or you want to check with the town administrator as to how, if we have to advertise to the town somehow that we're looking for
Okay.
an alternate?
Okay, so what I was about to say was, I just wanted to explain to the public and anybody who may be watching this video at home or later, that Mr. Edmiston this is his final meeting with the planning board. So since he won't be able to join us for the next meeting, and there's gonna be a continuation of the public hearing regarding the cell tower, what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask Mr. Edmiston to recuse himself so that we can have Mr. Chinaki, who is an alternate member, and being an alternate member is allowed to vote on special permits, join this portion of the meeting regarding the cell tower. And then we'll have Mr. Edmiston rejoin us. So, in case you're just wondering why we're about to do a weird kind of little shuffle, I just wanted to make that clear. Okay, so, at this time, so should I recuse him before I open the hearing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, this isn't a recusal to this point where you were associated with this in any way. So I don't know if you even have to leave. You can if you
I'm
want
glad
to.
I'm going home.
What?
No, no.
But, and you could, you can talk about it. You're just not gonna be able to, to vote because
Okay.
you won't be a member anymore.
All right, so
It'll be
we'll
bad.
just consider you recused, and
So be it.
you can just stay right there. We're not even gonna make you go in the cheap seats like we usually do.
So we can still ask questions too, though?
Yeah.
Well, if it's a public hearing,
Oh,
of
yeah.
course.
As a
You
member
can
of the
ask
public,
as a
right?
public,
Yeah,
Lives in
but, I mean,
town.
I would imagine that if you had a question, the chair would ask you first before opening it to other members of the public.
Okay. All right, so now we're gonna go back to the planning board agenda under public hearings. We're gonna do item 2 first, which is the personal wireless facility for 2 Carroll Drive, Diamond Communications LLC and Celco Partnership DBA Wireless, Verizon Wireless. It's the public hearing, so I am opening the public hearing at 7:15 on June 11th. And at this time, I would ask for the applicant to come up and start the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ellen Fryman, and I'm an attorney with Schatz, Schwartz & Fenton. My address is 1441 Main Street in Springfield, and I'm here representing the applicant, Diamond Communications and Verizon Wireless. As you mentioned, we're here to get a special permit for a new cell tower. We're looking at a 150-foot tower to be located at 2 Carroll Drive. And this was the subject of an RFP. So the town put out an RFP looking for a carrier to locate at this site. They identified it as an area that needs coverage. And Diamond and Verizon were the winning bid, provided the winning bid. And so we're here tonight. We've already been to the ZBA. We had to get a variance for setback. And so we're here now for the special permit. And also for a waiver relating to the height. So we're here with a Verizon team. We have Elizabeth Roche from Kimley Horn will go through the site plan. And then we also can explain the coverage, because this is filling in a gap, an area where there's dead spots. This will mostly cover the area that will cover New Boston Road and School Street, among other areas, which you'll hear about. And Evelio Sotolongo from C Squared will be showing you coverage maps and how this fixes a problem with a major dead spot area. So, and then any questions that the board has, we're all here to address any questions or issues. So, so I'll call Elizabeth up to go through the site plan.
Would it be easier if I bring that so it's
Would
more
you-
visible?
Where would be the best spot to go through it?
For the camera, I guess. Right?
You can all see the corner.
Steve, would you like me to give the board members these? There's maps.
Yeah, there are packets, I'm sorry.
They're over here, right, on that chair?
Yes.
Are those for us?
I was
Packets
trying
on
to
the
find
chair?
it.
Oh,
Do you have
That's
packets
a
that you're gonna
continuation
hand
of what we
out?
had last time, or?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Camera can't pick, all right.
Yeah, they're not gonna be able to pick that up.
This is-
Yeah, it doesn't look clear. Okay, should I
This
just?
is
move it?
additional to what we had last time, these things?
Coming from this way,
This is their application, I don't know what yours is.
Everything that we'll be going through.
okay.
I'm
What we
sorry,
were given
where,
last time.
where?
Because you don't get one.
Sorry with me.
Oh, I see.
You want to share with me, man?
We reviewed this, what, a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago?
Is this additional to?
No, it's the exhibit, so they're easier
Oh,
to see.
okay.
It's the same thing.
All right, we'll go with the newest and the.
It's everything that's been submitted previously.
Oh, okay. For the larger format.
Rich River map.
It's really no expense here.
This size big more often.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Let's shuffle.
Okay.
Extra copy. It's just everything that's been submitted, it's just easier
Is
to
it
see.
what I've got in
Yes.
here?
Up to you. Want bit?
No?
Well, we need it for Mr. Horn later.
Isn't it the same that I've just got?
It's all the exhibits.
All right.
When everyone's ready, C 1.2 is the name of the sheet that is going to be used for reference. It's the overall site plan. And while everybody flips to that, again, I'm Elizabeth Roach. I'm with Kimley Horn, and we are at 271 Waverly Oaks Road in Waltham.
Packet that's folded like this.
Can't read the notes.
That shouldn't be it.
All right.
Yeah.
Looks like everyone's finding their way there. I can get started whenever you're ready.
And then this little circle at the bottom that has the number in for the page, and you're looking for C 1.2.
I got 1.5, 105 on that page.
Oh, no, this is what you want, right here.
All
There
right,
you
the
go.
back end, okay.
Wonderful. Okay. As mentioned, the site is at 2 Carroll Drive. The parcel is owned by the town and bordered to the east by the French River and associated existing wetlands. The scope of work is a proposed gravel road to a 50-foot by 50-foot gravel pad. And this will contain the telecom structure, the monopole, as well as space allocated for future co-locators of the site. The gravel pad will be surrounded by fencing, and there are some steep slopes additionally on the eastern side. And there is also a proposed bioretention on the western part of the parcel to capture drainage from the site. This has been approved by Conservation Commission and has all the relevant environmental approvals. That is about it. If there are any questions, I don't know whether we'd rather have the maps shown for coverage and then do questions at the end. Or if you have questions on the site
What's the
civil.
pleasure of the board? Do we want to direct questions to each person speaking, or do you want to just let them keep going and we wait till the end and then do the questions? Does anybody have a preference? Because I don't have any questions at this time.
Suggest maybe we let them continue and then.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and
Maybe answer this
Thank
as
you.
well. Certainly killed the forest. We like dogs, I guess.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. I'm Emilio Sotolongo with C-Square on behalf of Verizon Wireless. I'm here with Keith Valente as well. And what you're looking at now is a topography map of the lay of the land. It actually shows you the location of existing sites. You see those black wedges on the plot? Those are sectors on a site, and they have antennas, and they're pointing where they're supposed to point to provide optimal service. Having said that, the existing sites today in the area of the lowlands, which is where the proposed new site is supposed to be, Webster 6, do not provide coverage to that area. So the point is that the new site, the proposed site, will interact with the existing sites to fill out the gap that exists today. That's what you're seeing on the map. And if I can point out, are you looking at the picture as well?
I'm looking at that one.
Okay.
Me too.
So I thought you have this as well.
They do.
So, and I hope that you can hear me without the mic. But this is Webster. It sits at about, if you look at the scale, 400 feet. And then you have Webster 3 to the northeast. Webster 3 sits at about 550 feet. That's the elevation of the ground. Then Dudley to the west sits at about 600 feet. So you see there's a height difference. The proposed site is sitting at 400 feet. So you have to have elevation of the proposed site so that it can interact better with the existing sites. That elevation is partly provided by the height of the tower. Okay? Now, what is the interaction with the existing sites? Handovers. Right now, the existing sites are taking the load from users that are located in the valley right here because they have no other way of connecting to the network. Is that clear? Yeah? Now, if I can. Whoops. Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I know we have a number of folks in the audience. If any of them feel the need to see what it is that is being displayed, there are some seats up here, and you might be able to relocate and have access to this, because otherwise, what you're looking at is the backside of I don't know what.
They're looking at nothing.
Nothing, okay, well, very informative.
All right. What you're looking at now, anybody wants to move? No? So what you're looking at now is coverage as it is today. Here is Webster, the proposed site, Webster 6. This perimeter right here is coverage to neg 95 dBm. Beyond that, the performance of the network is restricted. There's not enough reliability of service. Okay? So Dudley 3 Webster 3, the reliability of service decreases beyond the green perimeter of coverage that you see. All right? Everywhere you see white, you can connect, but service is poor. The reliability is poor. The performance is poor. You're likely to drop calls. All right? Now, if I can point out to you, the next plot, here we have Webster 6. You can actually see its coverage. You can actually see the coverage of Dudley. You can see that Webster 6 extends to Connecticut. You can see the coverage of Webster 3. So you can see that it begins to fill the gap. And that reliability that's missing today will be there when the site is constructed. The performance of the users that are connecting is going to be much better than it is today. Now, on this particular, actually, let me show you, let me go back here. What we're looking at here now is the existing coverage now to NEC 105 dBm. So we were to NEC 95. Are there any questions as to what NEC 95 is and what NEC 105 is?
Yes, what are those?
That's signal strength.
Okay.
Okay? So NEC 95, I was mentioning that the profile that you saw in green, that's NEC 95. Here's Dudley 3 existing site. As you move away from it, the signal strength decreases. Along the perimeter here is NEC 95. In here could be NEC 80. The lower that negative number, the stronger the signal. Okay?
Is that tower that you just pointed at, the one by the courthouse?
Uh,
Whole road-ish?
Universal tag?
Yeah, probably.
Excuse me.
Yes.
So those areas in white are areas where there's no coverage or minimal coverage?
Minimal coverage. The reliability of the
What happens,
coverage.
I see TV commercials and you guys get coverage all over the world.
That is true. In the bigger cities, coverage is more consistent. Yeah.
What kind of signal strength do you need to get like 5G if you want to stream like video? and-
Oh, so 5G, you can, this one, I'm going to answer your question with this picture that I was showing you now.
Okay.
This picture shows now what the coverage is going to be like with the new site. But now we're showing it to NEC 105, okay? So between NEC, a strong signal, NEC 70, near the site. Away from the site, you can still connect at NEC 100. However, there are limitations to the strength of the signal and the performance of the network at that level. Typically, at NEC 100, the phone is already looking to hand off to another site. Yeah? Yes, sir.
But we're still looking at some white area in here.
So remember,
There are
yes,
still gaps.
those are performance gaps. That doesn't mean that you cannot connect.
Right.
It means that the performance is going to suffer because the signal strength is not strong enough.
All right, so this one tower then is not going to give everybody what they would ideally want to have.
Well, right here, you're seeing that along the perimeter of this coverage is all NEC 105. So within these colors, you're going to get service. Okay? If
To
you're
what
driving-
level?
If you're driving on
Again, the
12
question
from
was,
Connecticut. Yes, sir.
the 5G, to what level in terms of that area that you just outlined? What coverage?
You can get 5G to NEC 105, perfectly connected, and you get perfectly good throughput from the network. Not only that, this tower, Verizon has a C-band, which is the This particular one is 100 megahertz and 60 megahertz of bandwidth. The bigger the bandwidth, the more data that it can carry, the better the throughput as well. With C-band, which also has an adaptive antenna, you can get throughputs of up to 400 Mbps, or megabits per second. But the height makes a big difference. The height of the tower makes a big difference.
Which is why you need the waiver for you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. If you decrease the height of the tower, you shrink the performance of the network.
Do you have a map showing the comparison of what it would be without the waiver and with the waiver? In other words, the height we allow versus the height you're requesting?
90 feet is what's allowed, and we do not have a map at
Okay.
90 feet.
All right. But,
But keep in mind, remember the topography map that I showed you?
yeah,
You know, that area, it sits low on the ground compared to the sites that are.
you said
to the
400
east.
feet versus
Yeah,
500,
Yes.
yeah. And then the other one was like,
there's like 150 feet difference between that new site and the other neighbor sites.
okay.
It is that height that's gonna give you the coverage and the interaction between the new site and the existing sites.
And that's something we can ask our peer review, right?
Yes.
To determine.
It's through the chair, Mr. Chairman. My reading of our bylaw indicates that town's preference would be for an existing structure. I understand that you're looking at a monopole, which is apart from that. But there is a mill, Chase Mill,
Nowhere near tall enough.
nowhere near tall
This
enough.
is
Do we know what the height is on that, though?
40.
Well, no, that height would then be augmented by whatever they added onto it, as is the case with the church at Center Road. So I don't know what that total height would be.
Church at Center Road's at a pretty high point in Dudley,
It's-
so it's
that's
not a
at an
very tall
elevation, right.
structure. The kind of size of, I mean, I'm not a structural engineer, but.
Nor am I
If you
just
took a-
asked the gentleman.
If you took a 100-foot
how he-
monopole and stuck it on top of a roof of the building, you'd have to probably reinforce that building tremendously.
Well, I suspect that the people that are currently tenants in that building would appreciate the opportunity for additional revenue, given their financial situation. But I would ask the gentleman if there was ever consideration perhaps given to that.
It may have, I'm not familiar with the candidates that were there.
I can talk to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
The town put forward an RFP.
I
They actually
understand, yeah,
solicited
no,
bids
but
for
we're
the
talking
site.
about coverage and how best to get that, and see if there is an alternative. If not, then there's not.
But I'm just saying, they were invited to bid on that site that we're
Right.
talking about.
I
Yeah.
understand, but we're looking at the area around.
Yeah,
there
I just want to
that
introduce
site.
myself first.
So I think,
My
the
name-
cards are all on the table at this point.
Understood. My name is Tom Vineski. I work for Diamond Communications. I was working with the town over the last year and a half on this bid. The bid had come out on this particular piece of property. I actually walked it with the town administrator. We showed where it was going to work on the property, and we worked with the height on that piece of property. But we also did, in conjunction with that bid, even before it had come out, was look at alternative structures. We did provide an alternative candidate look at for 2-mile radius, I believe.
Yeah, we submitted it.
And we submitted it as part of that. To your point, there is, first choice of Verizon or anyone else is always to use existing structures. It's part of your code, it's part of what we need to do. In this particular case, there are no existing structures near there of sufficient height. And while your statement that if the height, my understanding that mill is about 65 feet or perhaps a little bit higher, but it is not nowhere near the 150 feet that's needed by Verizon Wireless.
All right, understood. I was just
Yeah.
trying to find out what the dimensions might be, or whether that somehow was
Understood. And
adaptable
with
to
the
your
other
purpose.
alternative sites that were looked at, you know, you mentioned the courthouse. That is the closest one, the closest existing site. That is on a rooftop. And then we also have, there's an existing tower as well, as shown on the map, that's closer to the high school, I believe.
Yeah, 90, SBA tower.
Right, so there are those sites that there, and this is exactly what we're showing is the other existing sites and how those can be used. But we always do prefer to work on that first. I do want to make a point too, that if the height were lowered to 90 feet, It also prevents co-location. Remember, every other carrier that would potentially co-locate here, AT&T, T-Mobile, Boost, would have to go lower on the tower than Verizon. They have to have a 10-foot vertical separation from those Verizon antennas. The Verizon antennas will be located at 145 feet on the tower that we're proposing, which places the next carrier down at 135 feet, then 125, then 115. If we were subject to the waiver, that would place the Verizon antennas at 85 feet. Again, you can't have the antennas exceed the height of the tower, so you have a center line of 85 feet, which pushes the next carrier, AT&T, down to 75 feet, then 65 feet. With the location in the valley, basically in the hole, it doesn't work for anybody, and that's why we're asking for the waiver on the height.
Thank you.
Yep. Oh, one quick note, we are actually paying rent on this site under the RFP process currently, as well as we have a development process. I'm not sure if the terms of the RFP were made available to the planning board, to the public.
None of the contract. Contract?
That's what I was going to mention about the rent, and that it benefits the town in several ways. And also, I just wanted to add that we did fly a balloon as required. We had it 3 different days, and 2 times in the morning, 1 time in the afternoon. The requirement in the town was 72 hours continuously, and that wasn't feasible for us. They need to be manned, and we couldn't have somebody out there for 72 straight hours, plus during the night it wouldn't be seen anyway. And we worked with the town to agree to have this alternative schedule, and it was published. And so that's another waiver that we would like, that included is that you're approved the way that we ended up doing the balloon float. So if there's any other questions, we're available to address those.
This is what the tower would be based on your balloons. Oh. This is part of it.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have the results of the balloon? I think that there's, in the original packet that you gave us, you showed where how the tower would be seen, but a lot of communities that I've worked with, they do the balloon test and then.
Yeah, well, there are, we do have photo simulations that were, once the balloon was up, then we just go around, take photos, and put the tower,
And are those in the packet that you?
And that's in the materials that we furnished.
Okay.
Is that in this thing?
That's in our application, and if there's any questions regarding the coverage, so we went around and you can see in the packet, it's behind your tab number 11. We show the first photo is where the different views are from, and then behind that are the views before and after. Then we superimpose the tower where the balloon was flown. Yes, there you go. And the balloon was flown at the 150-foot height.
Mr. Chair, but while you're all looking at that, I just want to remind the board that, that you should vote tonight to hire a peer reviewer who can look at what they have provided and knows what language they're talking, and can tell you whether or not it meets the requirements and whether or not it can.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because I heard that mentioned. Is that something that is necessary to do? I mean, we're just thinking of timing. We're ready to build this tower.
Absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Last time we had one of these, we got sued, so.
What happened last time? I'm sorry.
Last time we approved one of these, we were sued, so.
You used a peer review, is what you're
No,
saying?
we
all
were
appreciate-
sued, there was a lawsuit brought against the town.
Oh,
We appreciate everything you're doing here to show us all of this stuff and everything, but, you know, we want to have our own professional look at it for us, do our own peer review, and none of us are experienced in this sort of thing, so that's why we,
do you know what the time frame is for that process?
If the board agrees to hire someone, I have someone lined up who can do the work. And as part of the application fee, I don't know if you know, you did actually also give us a check.
Yeah, I know that there was,
So
yeah.
that's sitting, waiting to hire them, but we couldn't hire them until we had the money, and then we couldn't hire them until the planning board decides. So we do have the money, and we can start.
Yeah, I knew that was required, I just didn't know if you actually
we're gonna
had
do
to
it.
do it. Okay.
It's, no one here really knows.
But we
exactly
understand,
what
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
And, so
Yeah.
I've worked with this person in another number.
Okay, then, we've worked with several peer
Yeah.
reviewers
So-
before, so.
I think it's
Okay.
important. that
Is
the
it possible they'd have a report by the your July meeting?
That would be the hope. but
Okay,
I've
good.
got-
Okay,
he knows-
that's-
He's already sort of teed up and knows that the
Great.
initial meeting is
Okay.
today. I don't know how long it takes them to do this work.
Is there anybody here in the audience that's here for the cell tower, for this hearing about the cell tower? Is there any member of the public here for the cell tower meeting?
I live right across the street.
So I was just gonna ask you, you want to see this?
I would love to, if possible.
So these pictures aren't actually a balloon, though? They're just where the balloon would be?
That's your tower.
Yeah, I know, it's not a,
I got another set, actually.
These
We were
pictures?
given some in the original presentation. I think they're
Well,
duplicates.
yeah, but those were before they actually blew the balloon, so,
Well, I think they're the same.
you know, that's.
didn't
I'm
see
wondering
that.
whether or not they are.
Just to answer the
Hold
question
on.
about the
I'm
balloon,
not
the balloon
sure.
was
I
floated, and then he,
looked at both, and
then
they
he
appear to
takes
be
that
duplicates, but
where the
that's
balloon
all.
was and
One of
poses
them
the
can't be
antenna
big
on top of it. He qualifies as an expert witness, we can bring him back in the next hearing and necessary to document what's there.
worried about superimposed
Those
pictures
folks are
here.
looking at nothing.
Make sure we're getting the.
Well, he
you have
actually
copies of
did,
the original pictures?
he did photo simulations first that were there, and then those were validated by the balloon, and it showed they actually were completely accurate.
Right, do they have actual original copies
Original copies of the balloon?
of the balloon pictures that they went around and took the balloon pictures? Do they have?
Absolutely.
Okay. Would you be able to provide that to us too? Yeah.
Yep.
Now, this lot was taken for sewage easements. Is there gonna be a sewage easement on this? I see there, it was taken for sewage easements back in the 50s.
We're not involved with that at
Oh, you're not involved with that?
We don't use any, we don't have any
Because
utilities.
that's like
This is-
main
we-
sewage line right to Webster.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why it
our
got
survey
taken.
plots out any existing easements or any other impediments to the property, and we are clear.
Because by the looks of it, they wanted to put a sewage line through there.
We worked with the Public Works Department when we placed the site, and it was clear.
Cleared by sewage or sewage and water clear that?
I'm sorry?
Well, if the property was taken for sewage easements, did you talk to sewage? Yeah, back in the 50s, but that's the only main sewage line going right to Webster.
Yeah, so as part of our process, what we have to do is we run title on every piece of property, along
was
with
reading
doing federal requirements as far as Fish and Wildlife, NEPA, FCC, FAA, and part of that is any easement reviews, anything that would impact the area. There are no easements that impact our area.
You guys said this with the conservation?
Yes, conservation is what changed the plan and added the extra basin, so to speak, on the side of the plan. So we've worked through both your local as well as Massachusetts DEP for a period of 6-7 months last year to get through that process and to have that approved. And that was submitted as part of the application.
All right, Chair recognizes Mr. Clark.
What's the life expectancy of one of these towers? How long are they good for?
Well, we're actually doing one tomorrow night in Kalamazoo, Michigan, that's been up for 53 years, and it's still there.
53 years?
53 years.
So it predates Verizon.
It does. It's an existing tower that's been up there. But as part of, we also submitted a fall zone letter that shows what this tower is built to, the current standards, which is now Rev H. and the engineering standards of that. And it shows the wind speed as well as if ice were on the tower, how strong it needs to be and how much it's engineered for that. So that just factors into the length of the tower. We're talking decades. But I'm not an engineer. Perhaps Kimberly Horn can answer that.
In our bylaws, we're looking for something in the way of a bond or surety in terms of the abandonment of the tower.
Yes.
And if the thing is going to be up there for 50-some odd years, what amount would cover that given inflation?
Well, it's for taking it down, correct?
Right, for taking it down, but I mean, what would the projected cost be 53 years later in terms of taking something down? I mean, the number would be...
I can't answer that. I can say that we do have many of these bonds, and they're usually just set at the cost, and then they're maintained. Unfortunately, it's a reoccurring annual fee for us to maintain that bond, but...
Okay.
Okay. Who's next? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, that's our presentation. If there's any other questions,
Okay.
we understand that we'll be back and after the peer review report is issued, and we'd like to hopefully be able to see that in advance of the meeting, and so we can address any questions that come up. We usually interact with the peer reviewers, so if they have questions, they just contact us directly, and so then we end up submitting a report that everybody's happy with.
And so for the members of the public, just to make it clear, we're not going to be voting to approve or deny anything tonight as far as the whole scope of this project goes, because we're going to vote to hire our own engineer that's an expert in this field to look at these plans in this application and let us know what the opinion is. And so this meeting's going to be continued. So at this time, do any of the board members have any further questions at this time?
Is there a digital copy of the map with all the,
You have, it's part of the application. It's,
that map there?
yep,
At the
it's
end
in your,
of the
it's in your, it's behind tab, it's right here, behind tab 8. All the maps are right in here.
Sorry, Mr. Durgan, I thought you were asking if there was an electronic
Yeah,
version
well,
of this.
I am, but,
We have an electronic
I
version.
have one.
They gave it to us on a flash
We
drive.
can email it. Do we have, did we already, we can
Sounds
email
like
an
we got it.
application.
We have a flash
sounds
drive.
like we have it.
Right.
Believe, or yes, we
Yeah.
have a flash drive that they submitted with the application.
We have everything.
And I've asked Ora to see if she can get it up on the website so people could actually be looking at it.
Great, great, okay. Are there any members of the public here for the cell tower public hearing that have any questions that they'd like to ask at this time? Do you have any questions? I see our only couple that was brave enough to admit they were here for the cell towers in deep discussion.
We'll talk to them after.
Okay,
Can I just ask two?
yeah, sure. Oh, yeah,
Two
I'm
quick
sorry.
questions about the site plan. The first one is along the eastern edge of the site, there's a retaining wall. What's the elevation at the top of the retaining wall and the grade below?
I believe that is on,
I don't have the packet.
yeah.
I don't need the packet, I just let her answer.
I can read it off of the survey. The top of bank is 419 and the bottom is 404.
And what material is the retaining wall?
I do not have that information offhand, but I can ask our design engineer and get back to you with that.
Then am I correct, or did I understand correctly that there is a retaining basin on the site to the
There's
to the west of
a
it?
bioretention.
By retention.
Mm-hmm.
So the surface of this 55 by 50 platform is stone, which is pervious? What runoff are we expecting?
I believe it's concrete.
So yeah, the pad itself is gravel and the bioretention is simply to collect the runoff from the site, since that's still a decrease in permeability from the existing forested
Understood.
state.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It'd be cool to know what the material of that was. 15 feet. Is it rip wrap or concrete?
Okay,
So just whenever they come back.
right. So maybe we'll include that in the minutes, Ora, that Mr. Edmiston asked the question about what type of material the retaining wall would be. All right, great, thank you. All right, Last call. Anybody from the public want to ask any questions about the cell tower?
Oh, Mr. Horn.
Oh, Mr.
Oh, Mr. Horn, you still with us?
Oh, he's got us on mute.
Oh, every time I said any members of the board have any questions, you could have spoken up at any time. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I don't have any questions at this time. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. All right, so at this time, you want to make a vote to hire the, does anybody want to make a motion that we hire a peer review engineer for the cellular project?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
all right, we have, all right, so we're gonna do a roll call vote. This is for hiring the peer review engineer.
Richard Clark, aye.
Tom Chinaki, aye.
Dave Durgan, aye.
And then Mr. Nay, I'm not voting, excuse me. Never mind.
Guy, you're next.
Guy Horn, aye.
Steve Wautroba, aye. Okay, so now I'll make, we're gonna continue the public hearing.
Yes.
All right, so at this time, we're going to continue the public hearing regarding the cell phone, the cell tower application. I'd like to,
To July
Thank-
9th.
what's that?
To July 9th.
Going to continue the public hearing to July 9th for the cell tower application, and I'd like to thank you all for your presentation this evening, and look forward to seeing you on July 9th.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
It's in the packet too, Mr. Chairman.
Board of Assessors, Dave, you did this.
Okay.
Yeah, we always work with Dave.
Yeah.
Those are my code. If you need anything, should I give you my card if you need?
Wasted.
Take a moment for meeting. Okay.
Did you vote on this?
Yeah, we did.
All right. You want to do the second public hearing, or you want to go back to Sophie's Way first?
Well, what we can do is, we can have Mr. Edmiston rejoin the.
Yes.
So at this time, Mr. Edmiston is rejoining us as a voting member of the planning board for the rest of this evening's business. You want to just knock out the public hearing?
Sure.
Okay, so we're going to move to the second public hearing this evening, so I'm going to open the public hearing. This is regarding proposed amendments to Section 3A, procedure for the subdivision and approval of plans for a plan believed not to require approval, also known as the A&R checklist. So just, for any members that are here curious about what this is, for a long time now, we've had something called an A&R checklist that we've been using in town for approval not required lots. And it came to our attention that there were some items in that checklist that actually didn't comply with state law. So we've basically revamped the checklist, and we're dropping a few items off of the checklist. So as part of the process, though, before we can actually do that officially, we have to post a public hearing and have a public hearing. Is there anybody, the board members have all discussed this at previous meetings. Is there anybody here who has any questions about the A&R checklist or the changes we're making to the A&R checklist? Okay, I don't see anybody here who's interested in that. So, I mean, we all know what it's about. Does anybody want to make it? We can make this quick. Nothing's changed since the last
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah,
We're
I-
still
Close the
changing
public
it.
hearing before you vote.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would help. I didn't open the public hearing?
You opened it, but you have to close
Close
it
it.
and then you vote.
Gotcha. All right.
So who's gonna calculate uplands now?
Is that a question you want to?
Oh, yeah, on G, getting rid of that. Oh, elevation help harder for you.
I can address these questions.
Yeah, well, because he's asking as a member of public at this point, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I'll switch
So-
there if you want.
I'll let her answer.
The issue is that these are for an approval not required subdivisions, which is a kind of a weird name for something. You don't need approval, but you have to ask the planning board to confirm that you don't need approval. It doesn't necessarily mean that whatever lot you are creating is buildable for lots of other reasons. Maybe it doesn't have any enough upland. Maybe it is lots of other. There are other reasons why something
I know
is.
how it works.
Right, there are other reasons why it's not buildable. So this is just sort of allowing someone to draw a line, and any lot that is created by drawing a line meets the requirements for size, square footage size, and frontage. It doesn't guarantee by any means that the lot is buildable. So when you would go to get a building permit for that particular lot, then all of those other calculations and other reasons that you would want to build would be calculated at that time, but they don't need to be calculated for the particular process to get approval from the planning board, that approval is not required for the subdivision. So all of those things that we crossed out are caught at a different point in the process, including that the taxes are paid up, things like that are not necessarily relevant to the planning board when making the
So
determination.
if they do an A&R plan, we sign the Mylar, and you create a new law and taxes aren't being paid on the old law.
Then they wouldn't get a building permit.
Yeah, but they're making two separate lots now. If they didn't pay taxes on one lot, now they divide it into two and put it in somebody else's name. You're kind of losing tax money.
You can't assign title. You can't transfer title on a piece of land that has back taxes owed on it. You can't get a municipal lien certificate. So it's covered.
All right.
All of the issues that are crossed out are legitimate concerns when you want to build or when you want to sell. But they're all addressed at that point in the process, not necessarily in an approval not required subdivision. So we're not ignoring the fact that all of these things need to be done. It just doesn't need to be done before you can even be heard by the planning board for an A&R. That's all it does.
I ain't voting on it, so.
Okay. So at this point, I would like to close the public hearing regarding the update to the A&R checklist. And I will entertain a motion to make the changes as outlined.
So moved.
Okay. We're gonna have a roll call vote once again.
No, we need a
A
second.
second now.
Need a second?
I'm gonna give you one last second now.
You did it so many times, I thought you did it.
Thanks.
All right, roll call vote.
Richard Clark, aye.
Dave Durgan, aye.
Dan Edmiston, nay?
Guy Horn, aye.
Steve Wetruba, aye. Motion passes 4-1. All right, now we're gonna go back to, under new business, item number 2, Sophie's Way, minor amendment. At this time, I'm going to recuse myself from the proceedings, and Mr. Clark will take over. He's vice chair.
Wait till everybody's back in place here for a minute. You could have a copy of the minutes for the May meeting passed around.
There should be right on top.
We need a second copy?
Yes.
We need a second copy, right?
We always need to.
Yeah, do you have one in your folder? We could circulate that perhaps.
Doesn't Lori usually give us a folder?
I've sacrificed my first line, so we'll move it. We all set? Alrighty, hopefully in your package you have this Form 1 application for modification of previous approved subdivision. And the gentleman is setting the easel up, and hopefully he will introduce himself and give us some background on what we're looking at.
Ready? So
Floor
for,
is yours.
I'll take it. So for the record, my name is Zach Gless. I'm from Existing Grade, the design engineer for the site, representing the applicant Sawmill Road LLC. And as mentioned, we are here tonight for a minor modification to the approved definitive plans for Sophie's Way. So to give a little context, Sophie's Way was a 4-lot subdivision that was approved probably a couple years ago now through the planning board, or maybe even a year ago, and it's under construction. And it's just a small subdivision road with a cul-de-sac at the end. And the purpose of the modification is during the construction of the lots, as they've been sold off and they've been constructed, there's been a steep slope that was created at the cul-de-sac, probably, I'm gonna say Plan View North. It's gonna be on the east side, so about 3 o'clock on the cul-de-sac. There's an existing slope that sits at about a 2-to-1 grade right now, which is, it needs some sort of protection to that slope because it's over the required 3-to-1. So we're proposing to take that existing slope and rip-wrap it, and then leave it at the existing 2-to-1 slope, and that way it'll protect it so there's no erosion in the future, and it'll just ensure that there's no washouts going on. We did present these plans to Mr. Walsh at Graves Engineering, who's the town's peer review engineer, and he's in agreement that this should constitute a minor plan change, as it does not affect the layout of the road as it stands, and it does not change any of the existing drainage patterns on the site. So in summary, again, there's an existing slope that's out there that has no protection to it, and we'd like to be able to put some riprap on there. I mean, it'd be filter fabric, and we'd put the riprap on there to construction standards to ensure that it stabilizes that slope and it will remain in perpetuity. And as part of that, what we're proposing to do is on lots 3 and 4, which are the ones that were created through that definitive subdivision, we'd be creating a permanent access and maintenance easement, which is going to be about 7 feet off the right-of-way that encompasses the entirety of that riprap, so that in the future, anybody within the subdivision has the legal right to access and maintain that if it ever needed any sort of repairs in time. So it's kind of a culmination of putting riprap down to secure that slope and then creating an easement on there so that anybody within this subdivision has rights to access and maintain it. So, that's the purpose of the minor modification.
So the country drainage didn't work?
Well, it's not that the country drainage didn't work, it's that the development of the lots which were outside of the scope of the definitive subdivision, so the definitive subdivision came in and it created the 4 lots. Those 4 lots were then sold off to the new owners to design and develop their own site plan. That wasn't part of what our definitive was. And
I thought
through
you had
the development of those lots, changes happened that created a slope that was not proposed originally.
I thought that whole road had a swale around it to collect drainage.
The swale is on the western side of it, and there is a rain garden right in here. There was no slope up there, there's a rain garden in the center of it. So there was a slope that was allowing these lots to drain into that center rain garden. It's just during construction, a slope that was created was greater than 3-to-1, so it needs protection.
What did Graves say? Do you have the paperwork from Graves?
You have to wait for it to be a member, man.
Oh, yeah, well.
Mr. Chair.
I can sit over there and ask.
Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I did speak to Jeff Walsh from Graves today about this, and he, I'm writing down, he told me that he believes that it will have no effect or de minimis effect on stormwater. The issue is that one of the houses was built closer to the property line than originally anticipated and required a variance, which they got, but that means that the original way that the subdivision was supposed to be finished in that area can't be finished there because the house is in the way, or the house interfered with finishing it, so the minor modification is needed to finish it. And Graves, Mr. Walsh from Graves did tell me today that he doesn't think it has a minimal effect on stormwater.
Did you guys get an email Agreed.
Did we get this in writing?
Yeah, can we get this in writing?
I think
I do have an email from Jeff that was
You do,
supplied
yes.
to me that I can forward to the board, basically stating that he's in agreement that this has no negative
I
impact.
have seen it in writing, I don't have it on me at the moment, but there was, he did, and then I did speak to him on the phone today. He was in the car, so I was not able to get him to write it down again. But I did, but I have seen an email that he sent to the developer when they submitted the information to us that said that it would not have an effect on stormwater.
Any other questions from the board? Mr. Horn, I'll leave you out of this.
No, I'm good.
Mr. Edmondson?
Just a quick question about the retaining wall. So the easement is there so anybody in the development can repair it. So why is it not the property owner's responsibility?
Because it crosses over the property line into the right-of-way. So once you enter into that right-of-way, that now I mean, it's a private road, so that private road's gonna be maintained and owned by all the owners out there. So because the majority of it is within the right-of-way, you need to have something so they can access the top of it. And you wouldn't wanna create kind of two separate ownership pieces to one continuous retaining wall, riprap slope like that. Because if you didn't have that, the top portion of this riprap would be on the onus of the owners of lot 3, and then the bottom portion would be on the onus of everybody within the development. So if you don't create that easement, you're kind of splitting ownership of it. And if you had to come by and repack it or pull some weeds that maybe came through, if there's a little area that needed touching up in the future, it becomes a kind of a legal issue at that point. So this easement allows everybody access to all of it so that you don't have that kind of break in maintenance and ownership of that side.
Understood. What's the height of the retaining wall, of the riprap wall?
It's I mean, it's 6 feet.
It's 6 feet tall?
It's between 4 and 6 feet as it varies. So it starts along the existing driveway that accesses up against lot 3. It's only a couple feet high, and then it ramps up and then comes back down again.
Is there any fault protection on top of the wall?
There's nothing proposed at the top of the wall. Again, that would be on the private property side of it. So if we had to do something, that would be on the...
So that's basically a property owner's choice, then, correct?
Correct.
Understood. All right, I'm good.
Questions from the audience? If you would, please sign in and your name and...
Yeah, I will. Bill LePage. So I own the property where the slope is. It's not a wall, it's a slope. So it's not,
So it's not completely vertical, it's
it's a slope.
understood.
And it needs to be ripped wrap because of the degree of the slope.
Understood. Thank you.
Anyone else care to speak to this issue? No? And from the board? All right, the chair will entertain a motion. Do we?
I have a question.
Yes, go right ahead. Wait, but would you sign in and identify yourself, please?
I own the home next door, 37 Sawmill Road, and the development is to the right of me. I've been there for 33 years, never had an issue. Now this new development is in, and when a rain comes down, my yard's underwater. And the last one, we had that pretty traumatic rain. It not only went underwater, went underneath my deck and went right into the pool. And it's hitting my pool and the support, which could loosen my pool. Is this gonna help that water go away from my house?
What side are you on? If you're looking at
37, the house right next to one. I've been there 33 years, never had water issues.
This would be this lot right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
now,
all
the
this-
last
all your
rainstorm,
swells are going
we had
that way
almost
now.
2 feet of water. The farmhouse to the left of me, Sophie would show us when it was pretty well ready to get knocked out. That land had 2 feet of water on it for almost 2 weeks, because that's the lowest point, I'm a little higher. So this new development, the water is running down, it's coming right up me, and then it's going to the next property over. I have pictures on my phone, it's just.
Several, and yeah, and the
It's
debris
ridiculous,
in
you
our
know,
driveway.
those
we have
catch
to-
basins or whatever you want
There
to
is
call
no
them.
catch
They were like
basins.
waterfalls. It just looked like a waterfall coming over. Something has to be addressed on that. Otherwise, I don't know what, I'm gonna take legal action. I mean, this isn't right for that water to be coming into this property.
All right, if I may, ask the gentleman if this issue, if anything that he's proposing this evening will affect what you're describing as a situation.
So with what currently is going on, this would have no effect on that. Those are gonna be two separate issues, and I would like to address that hopefully after this is done, because again, those would be, in my opinion, those are kind of two separate issues that are going on. So again, this riprap slope, it still allows the water to go where it's going.
Well, that's all I wanted to go.
And again, I would like to speak to that in a
Should
little
have
bit
had
as well.
drainage.
So the country drainage didn't work then?
Well, it's
If
going on to his property.
Going on to this guy's property,
He
right?
wants to address it after this.
And again, because this would be for minor modifications.
I think we've got two issues here, and we have one before the board, so I think we need to address that presently. And maybe if the gentleman wants to come back and has questions.
I was called yesterday or emailed to come here for this purpose. That's
Really?
why I guessed.
All right.
That's why I was came.
Let me just explain. So,
Oh, if you may, sir, yes.
so we did get an email from this couple that they were having a problem, and because it was on, Sophie's Way was already on the agenda, we suggested that they come to let the board know. In my conversation with Mr. Walsh at Graves, I asked him also whether he thought that the issues were related, and he said that they are two separate issues, and that the proposed minor modification would not have an impact at all on what their issue is. And as you can see, that is a discussion that is between two property owners and not in the purview of the
Right,
board.
right.
So we suggested that the neighbors, the bill says, come to let the board know and to let the developer know that this is an issue. I don't know, I know that your biggest issue was during the May storms, and I understand the developer raked out the rain gardens. Did it happen, does it
We
still, is
haven't
it?
had a rain since then. He just did it 2 weeks ago.
Right, okay, so the biggest issue was when it happened in May.
It's happened 5 times.
So
Okay.
my question is this the same engineer that approved this to happen the first time?
Yeah, so the other thing the other potential factor, and again, this is for private property owners to be discussing, and not for the board's purview, but the subdivision is not fully built out yet. So I believe one of the lots doesn't have a house yet, and so they don't have other potential stormwater management on that. The subdivision is not quite finished yet. But this minor modification does not have an impact on what your issue is, and it's good that you are talking directly with the developer, and that's what you should be doing. But the board needs to understand that they are separate issues, and we suggested that you come so that the board could hear, and, if in time, when the subdivision is finished, if you're still having issues and you're not getting any relief property to property, then, it's.
I mean, we have.
If I may real
Right, I
quick,
understand.
the engineer has been very nice and has said he'll be happy to
Right.
address this after we get done with the other matters before us.
Right.
So if we can focus on this, get this
Right.
squared away, and move on, I would be appreciative.
All right, I think Mr. Edmiston's comments are in order, and I would like to move forward. What is the board's pleasure with regards to this modification to the previously approved subdivision?
Do we have to close the public hearing?
It's not a public hearing.
Not a public hearing.
It's a minor modification.
It's too much going on tonight.
Right.
Thank you.
Board's pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minor modification to this lot as presented.
All right, motion made. Do we have a second?
Second, Guy Horn.
All right, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? We'll do the audio version of this. Mr. Edmiston?
Dan Edmiston, yes? Yay?
Mr. Durgan?
No.
Mr. Chiraki doesn't
I'm
vote.
not
Richard Clark, aye.
Guy Horn, aye.
That will pass, 3-1.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, thank you. And again, we do appreciate you have your concern, and certainly we wish you the best in terms of being able to resolve that. But it is a separate issue.
Yeah, but I mean, the gentleman excuse me, do you mind just answering the question that the neighbors had about what could be going on? I know it's not for just the board, but just they're here. Curtis,
You
do
can
you
have
mind
a
doing?
sidebar outside.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
excuse me. I mean, I'd be happy to have a discussion in the hallway with that. If it's something that we should be doing on the public meeting, I have zero
I'm fine
problem
with
with
that.
coming back and having that
That's
discussion.
Okay.
just fine with that, appreciate it, okay?
Thank you. All righty.
Excuse me, does this mean that the town's not gonna help us?
This means,
About this water runoff?
well, what it means is your issue was not on the agenda. There's nothing we can deal with this evening, but we would need you to sign it because you were speaking as well as your husband, if you want.
Okay, so
But this does not mean that this, we consider this resolved by any means.
Right.
It's still an open
really
issue.
bad. I mean, we're going on vacation, and if we get one of those thunderstorms, everything's gonna be underwater, and we're not gonna be there. We've
appreciate
got
that.
sandbags, it's crazy.
Well, you
All
can sign up for the
righty,
next
then we
agenda.
can bring Mr. Wetruba back in.
Talk to Laura.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody's talking and I don't know
Right.
what I'm supposed to be doing over
All
there.
right.
Walk out.
He wants to be put on the next agenda.
Oh, okay.
Please.
All right, we welcome Mr. Wetruba back to the meeting.
I gotta sign that too.
Okay.
Concern.
Mr. Chairman, welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
So I think we've moved past that item on the agenda.
We took care of new business already. We took care of the public hearings. We took care of standard business. Site plan reviews, we did that. We didn't have any planners plate. Okay, so now we're ready at this point for comments from the planning board. Anybody have anything they'd like to? Go ahead, Mr. Edmiston.
Mr. Chairman, I became a member of the planning board roughly 9 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that. Got elected a couple times, appointed a couple times, filled in as an alternate a couple times. It's been a wonderful experience. I've seen the board grow from 3 or 4 members, a couple of whom weren't really all that engaged, to an incredibly engaged and active board. It's great working with everybody. I appreciate all your service. You guys do a great job researching, discussing, etc. And best of luck to everybody going forward.
Yep, I think I speak for all of us when I say you will be sorely missed. It was really good having you here.
I concur 100%. Mr. Edmondson's level of expertise has been a great service to the board and to the residents of the town of Dudley, and he's always managed to keep an eye on the clock and tried to keep us moving forward,
Yep.
even when we've struggled at that.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Edmondson.
All right, if there are no more comments from the planning board, are there any comments?
Mr. Horn?
Oh,
Mr. Horn.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Horn, I totally forgot about you remotely.
I'm good.
You got nothing?
I would have spoken.
Okay, all right.
I'm not bashful.
Gotcha. All right. Comments?
Dan, thank you for your service. I'll echo what Mr. Clark said. You were a big help for the board, and I appreciate your service.
Yeah, just reciprocating the thanks. When I first came on the board, you were on the board as well. You're one of the two I learned from at the very beginning, so I appreciate that.
That's right, Dan. Now that I remember, you and I at the same time. Came on.
Dan was here before you.
Well, yeah, but he... All right, whatever. Comments from the audience. You folks have been here all night.
We're trying to get to Lyons Estates.
No, we passed that.
Oh.
Drainage system into the people on Southbridge.
Okay.
We just wanted to hear what
Yeah,
was
we're on
going on in
Lyons
Lyons, Truman Drive.
Okay, is there any objection to us going back and talking about that?
No, none whatsoever.
Okay, all right, so why don't you come in, introduce yourselves, please sign in, and then let us know what your...
Yeah, my name's Ron Martin. I live at 5 Truman Drive in Lyons Estates.
Yep.
And they're finally getting the stakes up. The surveyors have been there, but they're not real sure on what the specifications are. Now, I know I see 8-foot setbacks, but nobody knows, then there's 2-foot setbacks on the other side. We haven't got an answer to what the width of the sidewalk is going to be and the width of a planned grassway.
So when you say they don't know, you're saying.
I've talked
neighbors,
to, I've talked to the surveyors, they were putting
Oh,
sticks
okay.
in.
Gotcha.
They showed me some of their plans, but they weren't very specific. They had nothing about the sidewalks.
Okay, well, we don't have them here now, but we have a full set of plans of the definitive plan. If that's something you would like to see, maybe you could come down to the,
Yeah, they were closed when we, the third floor was closed that
oh, it's gonna
day.
get worse. Our town planner is having her final meeting this evening, so who you're gonna wanna see is you're gonna wanna see Miss Aura Finn, who's shaking her head because she's.
Meeting with Eve.
Right. Seriously though, Conservation Office, Aura Finn, she's our clerk. She would have access to the room where the plan is. So what I would recommend is call her office,
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, I have your number.
okay? And then just schedule a time and she can allow you to take a look at those plans if you
Is
want to see.
there I should say, an appeal process to make the grassway narrower? I'm told it's going to be 4 feet.
Well, so I mean, they went through the whole process of approval of the subdivision. So
Right.
it's a
Some
approved
time ago.
definitive plan that
Right.
was approved quite some time ago. So in
Well,
order
what-
for them to change something like that now, they would have to come forward and do an amendment, and
Okay.
they probably wouldn't want to because that would cost them more money. So,
Because there were like 5 people there, more of the engineer types and highway types. And one of the gentlemen was saying that I'd really rather make it a foot wide or 2 feet wide, because just looking at the development, 4 feet, 8 feet off to one side, I'm not worried about my property being taken up as much.
Right.
More worried about when they plow in the winter,
Well,
you're
with-
going to get the sand on the grass.
with sidewalks, there's an issue of ADA compliance that comes into play, so it's kind of hard. You can't really play too much with widths of sidewalks. That's why we
Right,
have
yeah, I get that.
standard regulations for standard widths of sidewalk.
So a sidewalk has to be offset from the street a minimum amount, or minimum amount, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's got to be the berm
Off the top of
or the
I think
curb.
it's 4 feet.
Okay, well, now in Eisenhower Drive, it's 4 foot path, a 4 foot greenway, then about close to 5 feet on the width of the sidewalk.
True.
This is.
You're just using Eisenhower as an example. Right.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, Eisenhower's an example, all right.
Yeah.
That's a different
All those
era.
dead presidents up there.
Yeah, that's a different
No, it's
era.
all-
That's decades ago.
Well, they have to redo it, I understand, so.
Uh,
To come in, but it's not a town road from what I understand.
No, it's not, it hasn't been accepted.
All right, I'm
and-
going to stop you there because we don't want to get too
Right,
far
we're not
off.
getting into that, yeah.
That's a whole different,
We don't want to get in the weeds.
Yeah, okay.
but that's pretty much it then. It's 4 feet and that's,
It is called out in the town bylaws.
Right.
If you wanted to check the dimensional requirements, there is a sidewalk provision in the town bylaws, and I would suggest that you maybe
Okay.
take a look at that for informational purposes.
But altering it at this point would be tough.
yeah, I get it. All
Okay. So,
right, thank you.
the good news is they're back to work. On,
Oh, yeah, there's
yeah,
any-
right.
Well, and thank you for coming.
Sure, thank you.
Appreciate your input.
Mr. Vervain hasn't ever shown up?
So we've got now the developer, the representatives from
Yeah,
Galaxy.
Galaxy, yeah.
That they are now acting as our representative to the planning board.
Yeah, we've talked to Galaxy too.
Okay. Yeah. So
It's
they're
just
on
that
top of.
when they first placed the stakes,
Yeah.
it was like way into our property
was.
and we just planted a whole bunch of
It was 15 feet into
landscaping.
our property.
And then they came back and they put them right there and it's like, well, which one is it? Because
Well,
I
yeah,
need
because
to,
they were probably staking out the right of way, but then the actual road width is narrower. So you've got this section that appears to look like your lawn, that is technically, it's in the right-of-way of the road.
Got it.
That's retained by, like if the town in the future ever needed for some reason to dig in that area for whatever reason.
Oh, okay, okay.
So that's probably where that confusion of
Because
the,
I got a little spooked by that. It was
Yeah.
like, that's like 15 feet
looks like
of
all of a
our
sudden they just took
frontage.
15, yeah, but the reality is it looks like they took 15 feet of your yard away.
Yeah.
But the reality is it was never really your yard because that's part of what they call the
Oh,
right of
okay,
way.
all right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Shovel it
Yeah, the
every
builder
year, too.
never explained that to us. The builder never explained too much to us.
Mr. Chairman.
I can't speak to that.
Thank you very much.
I
Thank you
think
very
it
much.
might be the happy moment for Mr. Edmondson. If it's in order, I would make a motion to adjourn.
I just want to make sure, was there anybody else who had any comments? Okay, so no more comments from the audience. We took care of everything else, so, we have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all those, roll call, vote, all those in favor?
Richard Clark, aye.
Dave Durgan, aye.
Dan Edmiston, nay?
Guy Horn, aye.
Steve Wetruba, aye.
That's
Everybody
going
have
to
a
be
good evening.
recorded. That's
Thank you, Mr.